In the last few hours, a decision made in Washington has raised the confrontation between the United States and Iran to a new level. President Donald Trump ordered direct attacks on critical infrastructure in Iranian territory, marking an escalation that is already producing immediate consequences in the region. Even before these attacks, Iran had sent a clear message to its allies. Sources confirm that Iran instructed the Houthi movement in Yemen to prepare to close the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, the main access to the Red Sea. If the United States acted against the country's power grids and critical infrastructure, the same directive anticipated the start of attacks against critical targets in Arab countries in the region if Iran's essential civilian infrastructure were bombed. The Houthis already had missiles and drones positioned near the strait, waiting for the signal to act. It was then that, in the early evening on Thursday, American operations began to focus directly on infrastructure. The attacks began at the Kahustan Bridge in Qamir in southern Iran. The structure, important for the region's logistical connectivity with Bandar Abbas, was hit directly with precision, isolating sections and complicating the movement of Iranian supplies and forces. Next, the attacks spread to other strategic locations. Command centers, air defense sites, missile and drone facilities, as well as coastal surveillance systems were targeted. On Crater Toumbe Island, in the Strait of Hormuz, coastal defenses and cruise missile depots were targeted in a 90-minute wave with guided munitions from the United States. Reports indicated explosions in Bandar Abbas, Avaz, and Chabahar. The stated goal of the American operations is to reduce the country's ability to threaten maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, which has been closed by Tehran since February. While the attacks continued, Iran responded asymmetrically. On Friday morning, Iranian forces hit a desalination and power plant in Kuwait. The facility is responsible for 90% of the country's drinking water supply and suffered extensive damage, with fires that were later brought under control. The attack represents a direct blow against the critical civilian infrastructure of a United States ally in the Gulf. Other Iranian actions were also recorded against American targets or those of allies in the region. Drones targeted facilities in Kuwait, missiles were intercepted in Jordan, and sirens went off in Bahrain. Iran openly declares that the Strait of Hormuz remains an unbreakable red line and promises a firm response if infrastructure is hit more broadly. The military analysis I offer here of these moves reveals clear intentions from both sides. The United States seeks to neutralize Iranian threats to the control of Hormuz by gradually degrading coastal defenses, systems and missiles, and logistics. By targeting bridges and port facilities, Washington puts pressure on Iran's ability to sustain prolonged operations and to project power beyond its borders. Iran, on the other hand, avoids large-scale direct confrontation and relies on its network of allies and proxies to raise the costs for its adversaries. And there's a reason for that. They can't escalate the attacks because they're already at their limits. The attack on Kuwait demonstrates this strategy, targeting vulnerable points in Gulf countries that depend on desalination and energy facilities in a desert environment. If you want to watch this full video and get access to exclusive content for members only, become a channel member. Just click this button right here, become a member. The Ministry of Electricity, Water, and Renewable Energy of Kuwait has made an official statement. According to their statement and interviews with officials, a power generation and water desalination station was attacked by Iran, causing damage, fire, and power outages in several regions. As already stated here, the technical team brought the fire under control, restored part of the supply, and is working on assessing the damage, asking citizens to ration their energy consumption. This is very serious. What can happen now depends on the next decisions, and there is an immediate possibility of mobilizing the Houthis to effectively block the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. Any disruption in this corridor, which carries about 7% of the global energy supply, combined with the closure of Hormuz, would create a global energy supply crisis with a direct impact on trade routes from Asia to Europe. Sources indicate that the Houthis are just waiting for a clear signal to start attacks against merchant ships. Another line of Iranian response could involve new attacks on critical infrastructure in these Arab countries, such as energy or desalination facilities, like in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Iran has already demonstrated the ability to coordinate these actions with its allies within the axis of resistance. At the same time, Tehran may intensify missile and drone attacks against American bases in Jordan and other locations, seeking to force Washington to limit its air campaign. Washington also maintains air superiority and precision strike and deep strike capabilities, but faces the classic challenge of operations against an adversary that employs asymmetric warfare and proxy groups. Iran, even with losses in defenses and missiles, preserves its capacity for indirect retaliation that can extend for weeks or months. The American naval blockade of Iranian ports already drastically reduces this traffic through Hormuz, further squeezing Iran's economy by blocking the flow of goods into and out of Iran. The practical effects are already showing. Ships are avoiding high-risk routes, some countries are suspending shipments and crews, and the energy markets are feeling the accumulated pressure. This new escalation puts the region at a critical point. Each attack on civilian infrastructure or on facilities and allies increases the risk of an escalation involving more actors and directly affects the lives of civilian populations in the Persian Gulf. Become a member like our other members to watch this full video and receive exclusive member-only content. Just click here on the Become a Member button. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the RBs should finally go to war against Iran after the desalination plant in Kuwait was attacked? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss upcoming videos.